Chapter 1, Computer Languages. So first of all, we have to learn what is computer language. A computer language is also called a programming language. Different kind of languages have been developed to perform different type of work on the computer. Computer language have evolved over the year to make it easier for the programmer to understand and concentrate only on the logic rather than difficult to write the code. The developed stages of a computer language have been classified into five generations. So there are different generation of a different computer language. First generation use machine language. Second generation as a assembly language. Third generation high level language. Fourth generation very high level language. Or fifth generation natural language. Now we are going to learn first generation language. First generation machine language. It is the only language that the computer understands. It expressed in the binary form 0 and 1. 0 means off state and 1 means on state. Machine language has the advantage of very high speed and very low memory utilization. But understanding and learning machine language is a tough and time consuming process. It is very difficult to write and debug programs written on one computer may or may not run on another computer. Because of this, very people opted for specialization in machine language. This reason, so machine language is known as low level language. Now, second generation assembly language. This language use mnemonic codes or symbol in place of zeros and ones. For example, in the machine language, if the operation code for add is 0010, its equivalent in the assembly language is add. It is easier to work with the assembly language where symbolic memory address are used rather than machine language. Since a computer can programs have to be converted into machine language, translator program known as assemblers were developed to convert the assembly language program into machine language program. There are some features of second generation assembly language. Although assembly language represent an improvement, they had a obvious limitation. Only computer specialists familiar with the architecture of the computer being used can use them. Assembly language are not easily converted to run on the other types of computer because they are also machine dependent. A language translator program called an assembler is required to translate assembly language into machine language. Next, third generation high level language. High level computer language use formats that are similar to English. The purpose of developing high level language was to enable people to write program easily in their own native languages environment English, which means in third generation high level language we use English words. These languages are basically symbolic languages that use English words and or mathematical symbol rather than mnemonic codes. Even instruction in the high level language is translated into machine language instruction that are that the computers can understand. Some example of high level language are Basic, COBOL, Fortran, C, C++, and Java. There are some features of a third level language also. Most high level language are considered to be procedure oriented or procedural language because the program instruction comprise list of steps, procedure that tell the computer not only what to do but how to do it. The programmers spend less time in developing software with a high level language than with assembly language or machine language because fewer instructions have to be created, which means programmer need less time to develop a program. There are more time required to develop a software in assembly language and machine language. Now the programmer using high level language can develop a software in less time. Two type of language translator are used with a high level language, which is compiler and interpreter to convert HLL to machine language. Interpreter translate line by line, but compiler translate the whole program at once. It is the difference between interpreter and compiler that interpreter translate the whole code line by line, which means first line it convert first line, then it goes to second line, then it goes to third line, likewise. But the compiler translate the whole program at one go. Now, fourth generation of programming language. Fourth generation language are also known as very high level language. Database, Visual Basic, C++, HTML, Java, Smalltalk, etc. are considered as a fourth level computer language. Here are some pictures given of fourth generation programming language. There are some features of fourth generation programming language. They are non-procedural language, so named because they allow programmers and user to specify what the computer is supposed to do without having to specify how the computer is supposed to do it. Fourth generation language allow users or non-computer professional to develop software because they're much easier to use the third generation language. Now, fifth generation language, natural language, represent the next step in the development of programming language, that is fifth generation language. The text of a natural language statement very closely resemble human speeches, which means this language is provided by using a human language, what we are talking. These language are also designed to make the computer smarter. The natural language already available for microcomputer including cloud, Q&A and Sabby Retriever for use with a database, and human access language which is known as HAL. That's for all today. Thank you.